What? Oh, guys, maybe we don't mention that part, baby. Loki's telling me to mention something, and I said, "Don't mention it," as you just heard. And Ogu's over there in the corner, like, "What did I say?" I was going to take the simple route for Juneteenth, start celebrating early, go out and get my chicken because it's supposed to be, as we are celebrating the end of slavery, traditional foods are picnic foods. And what is more picnic than a picnic in a box with the chicken and the bread and everything else? And Ogu said something about not going out into something something land because you will wish somebody a Juneteenth and then they'll burn your damn house down. So we didn't go that route, which he is right. It's Confederate flag landia around here. They're getting a little more subtle, but not by much. So we did not go that route. And I said, okay, what can I cook around here? And all the African recipes that I remember or I can look up, it's like I don't have any of this stuff in the house. And we still got COVID going around. So I'm like, "Ah, I really don't want to go to the store. So now what am I going to do?" So we made ham. Well, we're going to make the ham, which is really spam. And I cooked up my buttermilk biscuits and I cooked up sausage gravy. And then we'll have the ham and we'll have that for tomorrow. And I have a can of cherries in there, so we'll do Lazy Cherries Jubilee on strawberry ice cream. I think that's what we're going to do for our Juneteenth. And of course, it's kind of timely that as we're coming towards Juneteenth and celebrating the end of slavery, people are pushing more and more to get rid of things from the past, like Confederate statues, which is great. They should go. Because they were not put up at the time of the Confederacy. They were put up to make sure people knew that white was right, is what they were put up for, which is wrong. And this is why these statues get to go be melted down into something nicer, like peace signs or something. I got back here. And we're also pushing out brands, and hopefully this extends to sports as well, that are problematic because they glamorize a South that never existed. So as you all know by now, Aunt Jemima is no longer a thing. They will keep producing to the end of the year, which probably means they've probably already made this stuff. So that makes you wonder how the hell old it is when you get it in the store. And they'll keep producing it to the end of the year under the Aunt Jemima brand name, and then they'll change the brand name. And I was thinking, one, this isn't new. I think young people sometimes think they're inventing the world, and they are not. We've had this Aunt Jemima argument before in this country. And two, nobody's talking about Nancy Green. Now, I remembered her, but I did not remember what her name was, and I had to go look it up, and there were lots of good videos on YouTube that talk about her. And long story short, after a company was acquired through a buyout, the gentleman that wanted to promote their pancake mix because they had a surplus of wheat flour, and that was fascinating, hired Nancy Green, who was a freed slave, by the way, hired her to play this type of mammy character and asked her, would you agree to do this role for money? And she was like, yes. She would like a job, please. So she went in and she portrayed this character, knowing it was a character, knowing damn well that it made, slavery look all happy and all happy slaves. She was damn well aware of this, as was the African American gentleman who wrote the song called Aunt Jemima, who performed at minstrel shows. Black people back then weren't sellouts, they just didn't have any other choice. So don't be lecturing me on how they were sellouts. They literally had no other choice. This was the only role society was going to give them at that point in time, and it's wrong. And instead of trying to pretend it never happened or erase it from history, we should be looking at it. Yeah, ooh, back here. And so by the way, there's a beautiful movie. I think it's Spike Lee that did it called Bamboozled. You should all go watch it. It's very free on YouTube. You should watch it. Anyhow, she is playing this character, and she plays the character for the first time at the World's Fair because they need to sell this pancake mix because they need to get rid of the surplus of wheat. And she does so well, they have to have the police protect her booth because she's so engaging and she's telling them stories and she's making them pancakes and she even gets an award for showmanship, and she goes on to sign a contract to play this role for the rest of her life. Now, today we would be pissed off, but it was the only role available to a woman of color back then. And so she was smart. She took her money and, she accepted the role. She took her money and she used it to fight poverty. And she used it to make missionary trips. And she used it to do a lot of good in the role. She knew damn well she wasn't playing the role's most enlightened character. But this was the only thing available to her at the time. It kind of pisses me off when people go backwards in time and try to apply the standards we have today to people back then. She did not have any other options. There were not black, HBO shows at the time for her to go act on and do something more palatable to us of this time. That was literally all that was available to African American actors. And it's sad and it's unfortunate, but it's part of our history, and we don't do ourselves any good when we start to say, well, I don't like it because that reminds me. So, we are trying to abolish the idea, and we should, that slaves were happy because they weren't. And we should be trying to abolish the idea that they were all content and treated well and, good master. There's no such thing as a good master. But at the same time, we're forgetting people like Nancy Green, a real living human being who was freed from slavery, became an actress, became a successful spokesperson, became an entertainer and cook and, activist. And we're forgetting about her because we're in such a rush to change. And sometimes we change for the right reasons, but it has bad side effects. And I'm like, we're not going to know about Nancy Green in a generation. Because the moment this pancake mix controversy dies down, nobody's going to care. In a way, it plays into the hands of the very people we don't want it to play into. The same thing with, I believe, Uncle Ben's is going. And, they've even been saying Aunt Jemima is going, even though, ironically, Aunt Jemima is a white character. She's always been, not Aunt Jemima, sorry, Mrs. Butterworth is going. Mrs. Butterworth is a white woman. She's a grandmother, and she has always been voiced by a white woman. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a white lady. And I'm like, why are we getting rid of her now? Ageism? We're in such a rush to progress that we forget that, sometimes when you keep progressing and you keep putting away the things of history you don't look at, you don't learn from it. Now, I think it's a great thing all the Confederate statues are going. And I think it would be a great thing to rename the brand and to celebrate Ms. Green and to do something that way and to maybe give to, Black Lives Matter, to give to a different charity. But just destroying things and not putting something in their place is not what's useful. If Loki goes into Breaker Worlds mode, yes, he will destroy things, like he will be the first one to destroy a Confederate statue, but then we need to put something in its place, something informative that tells you about a black scientist or astrophysicist or Miss Green or someone else and tells you about black accomplishments in this country. So it was just some food for thought as we're going into Juneteenth and we're already getting our cooking done. We already got the biscuits done and the biscuit gravy. And then I'm going to do the ham up. And, as we're getting ready to do this, and I'm doing this, by the way, as I think I said this recording in Whitelandia, where if I had a cookout tomorrow, people would be calling the cops on me because don't you do that around here. And we don't even live in the South, but people get like that. And then, no offense to Southern viewers, but you know what I mean. We are close to the West Virginia border, but we're not that damn close to be Southern. But it's a very back in the 1950s, maybe sometimes I swear it's back in the 1650s kind of area. So it was something that the lower, like, no, child, you are not going out there because you know how they are. And the cops here, if you think the people are racist, the cops are uber racist. So they're like, no, if you have a cookout, somehow your house will accidentally burn down. Or if you go out for chicken, or you wear red, or you wear any of the colors, any of the colors associated with Juneteenth, you're going to be targeted. So we're doing our celebrations, quietly indoors. Yes, I have a YouTube channel, but nobody around here watches it, so I'm fine. I would hope they would surprise me. I would hope there will be enough woke people that there will be a Juneteenth party I miss, but I'm not gonna hold out hope for that either. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.